So after 3 years of Duolingo, I think I have an opinion on it. Or I like to think I have an opinion. Duolingo is really easy to start. It's a great way to find out if you actually want to learn a language, but it's not great for learning a language. I would say the takeaways from this whole thing is maybe try to keep up with Duolingo for about 3 months and then find a better way to study. This might just end up being more of a rant or just all over the place. So the first year I committed to actually keeping up with Duolingo, I spent 3,505 minutes, which is about 58 hours, which is equivalent to about 2.5 days. The XP means nothing. Rank means nothing. Word studies is fine. Sometimes they teach you interesting phrases, makes it a little bit easier to remember. Remember the word, not remember the kanji. Definitely doesn't teach you how to speak it at all. Sometimes you'll find words you recognize from other forms of media, or in this case, remember the kanji. Kusa. Shrieks. Sometimes they teach you really weird phrases that you probably wouldn't use at all. No, they teach you a lot of phrases you would not use at all. Or very rare to use. I guess they want to teach you how to insult people? Or is that a compliment? There's no information. This one's a fun one. Banana nano. Banana nano. More phrases that would be really weird to use. That one might be useful, actually. I mean, if you want to try picking up people. More shrieks. Some helpful kanji I wish they focused more on. Weird phrases. Relatable phrases. Definitely some helpful phrases. Good travel phrases. And Duolingo is not the answer. For 2021, 7,719 minutes, or about 128 hours, or a little over 5 days. That's a lot. Over 2 years at that point. Less words learned, but that's expected. You're not going to learn as many words. You're going to learn more kanji. Bro, I don't even know what this one's about. I am disappointed. Duolingo will let you down in the end. Streaks on streaks on streaks on streaks. I mean, I guess combining certain phrases makes it interesting, but it's also a weird sentence. Oh. That was just me making weird stuff. And the leaderboard rankings mean absolutely nothing when people will just go for one day and just stack points. You're not learning anything doing that much in one day. Like, at all. That's not consistency, that is just grinding out the XP. There's no learning going on. Maybe a little bit, but probably not. Having infinite lives with super just means grinding out XP. So the rankings mean nothing. How does someone with only 7,000 total XP get 2,000 XP in a week and still have 19 top 3 finishes? What? There's no way you're learning that much from 700 XP in one day. Some are not as bad, but it's still just streaks. Who's gonna share a milestone? Often they will add in phrases that you have not heard yet and just to a full sentence and just expect you to get it wrong just so they can make you buy more hearts or go for super. Sometimes they accept abbreviated words.
Jo, shiki, tenjo, jo.
It's not rare for them to use a different pronunciation for the same kanji, which is unrelated to the one they are currently teaching you, which can be really unhelpful. Very unhelpful.
Tatami o 2枚買ってください.
And then they'll use the relevant pronunciation another time.
Jo, shiki, yane, jo, tenjo, jo.
And the mispronunciation is also not related just to the kanji. It's also sometimes hiragana. Like, what is the... Sometimes they accept the romanized version of the word instead of typing out the long words. And nato is nato. That one's just weird. Sometimes there's straight up one choice. Like, what are you learning from this? There's no comparison. There's no challenge. This is just a waste. Like, that's just bad programming or something. I wonder what the answer could be.
ら、ら、ら。
More mispronunciation. They also try to sell off super so much, even to the point where they stopped having you watch ads for hearts most of the time. Most of the time now you just have to spend your diamonds to get more hearts. They added a new pathing system, and a lot of the ratings in the App Store hate it. Absolutely hate it. You no longer have the choice of what you want to learn. They just tell you what to learn. You can no longer learn a little bit of one subject you don't really care about or is not useful, and then move on to a subject you really want to learn. Now you have to learn all the subjects that might not even be relevant. Sometimes they don't accept the meanings that they even described as the same meaning. They mean the same thing, but somehow it's wrong, even though they say it's an option. And the reason why it's 1096 and not 1095 for 3 years is because there was the leap year. So 1 extra day. Regardless, 3 years. Sometimes they require weird distinctions between need and have to. I'm not sure I even understand the difference between need to and have to. Inappropriate. This is completely unnecessary and only meant to remove lives so you can be forced to either buy super or buy lives and not actually learn. Hell is indeed other people, but also hell is Duolingo. Hell is being stuck in Duolingo. Hell is being stuck in a Duolingo streak. Unfortunately, now I'm still continuing my Duolingo streak until I can find something new or find something better.
招待、招待、招待、招待。
This is the only good example of a pronunciation difference. This is one of the few times the pronunciations will actually matter. Luckily I can skip most of it. So let's go over a few other things. This will be all over the place, but I'm just gonna go with some of the good things about Duolingo first. It's easy to use. It's definitely easy to start. You have quick gratification. You feel like you're learning something, even if it's a little bit. There's game-like features, so it's really easy to get into. Streaks can definitely be helpful for wanting to keep up with it, but then it can also lock you in. You can somewhat set your own pace, except with tournaments you really can't set your own pace. There is a variety of speakers, but I can't say if they are good or bad at the pronunciation, other than when they choose the wrong pronunciation for a kanji. There are some fun phrases that would encourage you to remember them. The sections were good for when you actually got to choose what you wanted to learn. If you need to be competitive to actually learn, the tournaments are good for that, although that also can be a double-edged sword. You only need a short amount of time each day depending on how you want to learn. It could be 20 minutes, it could be 30 minutes. It's fun to learn words you recognize. It's also simple enough that you could actually go on a walk and do it at the same time, as long as you're not going to be getting in any trouble by walking into things. So if you have a lunch break or whatnot and you go for a walk, it's a good time to do that. As long as you have the mobile app. Mobile app is good for that. You can definitely learn a little bit, and it can definitely show you if you're interested in a language. If you're interested in a language, you can go further. But there's a lot of bad things with it too. There's no longer a speaking portion because it was horrible at listening to you. It cannot understand pronunciation at all. It didn't work. So you don't learn how to speak the language at all. It's really bad for speaking. It also does not teach hiragana and katakana that well. I had to do a whole separate thing where I wrote it down myself just to try to memorize, and I still don't remember them that well. Especially with katakana, mostly chi, su, n. So you're also never really going to go into this section because it's not during the main path. It takes a whole different time just to learn the letters, and it's not really that great. it doesn't teach you kanji that well. It kind of just shows you for a second, then just expects you to memorize it after you got it correct when comparing it to like other kanji that are obviously different or you already know. So it's not teaching you the kanji, it's teaching you how to choose the kanji out of everything else. Or just click it, hear the sound, and then compare it to the word you know. There's no way to look up the kanji you supposedly know, so it's not like you can tell if you know it. I attempted before to write down or draw the kanji that I learned to kind of keep it separate, but I think that's something you need to do. Something else is draw it yourself. Draw your own kanji to memorize and then go back on that. Will be better than this, which it just kind of pops up and you just are comparing it to the ones you know are wrong, or you just listen for what sounds right, or it just tells you the answer. It does not help at all. Rankings and tournaments are bad because they kind of force you to either keep up a pace that's not good for you, or it just like kicks you out for people at the top just spamming double XP just to get a high score on one day and not actually learning. It's not a good comparison. Lives are only there to sell the premium subscription. It doesn't cause you to like relearn the things you're getting wrong. It causes you to go back and relearn things or practice things you already know just to get enough hearts, waste more time just so you can attempt the stuff you're trying to learn again. And they definitely put in traps to make you lose hearts, so you have to do that and to entice you more to buy the premium. Next week just doesn't show anything. It's only used for tournaments, and that's already a whole problem by itself. It's not rare there's going to be mispronunciations of kanji irrelevant to what you're currently learning or how it's currently teaching. It also used to ask you right when you started another lesson if you wanted to watch a video for a heart, so it wasn't as bad losing hearts. Now they force you to use diamonds and very rarely give you an opportunity to get more hearts. So you can't continue on in the section you're on. You have to go back and practice something else. You can also no longer choose the subjects you want to learn. You're forced into a path. You have the option to skip a unit, but that's only if you know everything in that unit. This is definitely just more of a rant. And final note for this, and this is probably the same as the starting note. If you want to learn a language but you're not sure, Duolingo is a good start to figure out if you like a language. And that's it. You should only do it for like a max of 3 months just to see if you can keep a habit of learning that language. If you can, then you need to find some other way to learn it. Whether it's books, videos. You can still use Duolingo, but you should not be locked into it. Duolingo will not be helpful long term. You can learn small things, but you will never be proficient just using Duolingo. I've used Duolingo for 3 years and I really need to stop. And I really need to start other resources.